you guys should know this by now, but getting to the airport on time, whether you're arriving to the country or coming back into the states.
Damn, heard this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
To the list here because I want to make sure that we get this out. All right, so number one, um, you know, you guys, you guys should know this by now, but getting to the airport on time, whether you're arriving to the country or coming back into the states, you always want to make sure that you're getting there on time, especially coming back into the states, because I mean, typically depending on where you are, like in the Northeast, like they typically will move faster, but if you are, let's say, flying back from Dominican Republic or Colombia, they tend to move a little bit slower. They move on their own pace. So what does that mean? So if you are used to getting to the airport 2 hours before, you want to make sure that you get there 3 hours before or three and a half
Mhm.
hours before, just because they're just at a different pace, right? Not everyone has the hustle and bustle like a New York or a Boston or a DC, or you know what I mean. So you have to take that in the account. So you have to make sure that you are arriving on time. And let's say if you are getting caught up on other things that's distracting you from getting there on time, make sure that you handle your business a lot earlier so you are not missing your flight and not having to do a telethon to get back home.
Right, right. I remember I'm guilty of that one. I mean, when I first started traveling, I
Yeah.
remember I was in one country and I thought my flight was to be leaving at 6 p.m. and they had left at 6 a.m. So
Mm.
you want to make sure that you're on top of your AM and your PM. I was there 3 hours early. It just I was there 3 hours early for the wrong time. And so you want
Right,
to
right, right.
double check your itinerary and make sure that you have the correct AM or PM when it comes to your flights heading out as well. But it happens. You want to make sure that you're wise about it, and also realize, guys, one of the things that can mess up your vacation in regards to this is realize that a lot of countries, when they close those gates, when they say that they close the gates an hour before the flight, they're looking at their watches like tick, 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 tick. That's it. And
Hmm.
you may get there 2 minutes later and they'll tell you why they're still standing there. That's it. We're not taking anybody else because
Yep.
they like, if we do it for you, we got to do it for 50 more people. And
Right.
so
Exactly.
I've seen that happen to a couple of guys, and it's a little frustrating. But we've got to, respect the fact that other countries are not like our country that could try to get you on the plane if you're only a few minutes late. But that's how it is. It's set up like that, and that could just ruin your vacation without a doubt. Uh, Missing your flights or being there for the wrong time.
Yes, that's true. And you know what? You said when you said that you had arrived there 3 hours early, but you thought it was 6 p.m., not 6 a.m. Another thing is always make sure that you're checking the time zone of where you're flying. Where you're flying to. So this way you know. So let's say like right now on the East Coast, it's 10 o'clock p.m. But I know in Kenya right now it's actually 5 a.m. You know, so or in Colombia right now it's 9 p.m. So
Correct.
you want to make sure, and especially so the flight coming back, right? They're going by that country's time. So let's say if the flight is at 9 p.m., right, Colombia time, but it's not if it's 9 p.m. Colombia time, but I'm going off of the East Coast time. I'm there. I'm actually there late because the East Coast time right now is 1 hour ahead. So
Right.
with this time zone thing, man, we got to get it together in the States with that. But like you got to pick like this daylight savings time. It's so confusing. But what I am saying in the long term is that you always want to make sure that when you're flying there, you're going by where you're at from where you started from. When you're flying back, you're going from that country's time zone. So
Correct.
always want to make sure that you look at the time, and as Dre said, check if it's AM or PM, because you can get caught out there if you're not paying attention.
And
Uh,
then the next thing you know, you're wondering like, man, what was I thinking? You're disappointed, you're upset with yourself,
mhm,
and then you may have to be like the one guy in Dominican Republic. You
mhm.
might have to pay an extra fee to get on the next flight that's heading out, just
Right,
because of you weren't on top of the time zones.
right. Yeah, man. Shout out to my man E. This is one of the guys I actually been helping out behind the scenes. So he says that he's in Cali, and the black women are very beautiful and friendly, and he likes Cali better than Medellin. Okay, all right, cool, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the super chat, man. It's all good, all good.